What is going on, New York Giants fans? D. Illa here. Haven't made a video in a while, and I wasn't too happy with the way the season finished out and just how everything played out within itself. We went on that 3-game winning streak. We beat the Philadelphia Eagles there at the end. Definitely kind of screwed ourselves out of draft position. Put us in no man's land as far as getting one of those quarterbacks, those top 3 options in Caleb Williams, Drake May, and Jaden Daniels. So, it's going to be difficult for us to get a quarterback. I don't see this team trading up. Like a lot of people have said on here, I agree with a lot of them. This team just doesn't have the talent on the roster as of right now to be making any kind of moves to be trading up for a quarterback. So we're going to have to stay put where we're at, and we're going to have to draft the best player available. One thing that this team needs desperately is a playmaker on this roster on the offensive side of the ball. I realize this team needs offensive linemen. Yeah, that's a big-time issue for this team, but we can't continue to just draft offensive linemen in the first round over and over and over and over again. We can't do it. We're depriving this roster of talent at other positions. So you have to get yourself some other option on this team that plays a different position in the first round. You have to. And you have 2 players at the wide receiver position, and that's a spot that's very difficult to get a good guy in free agency, especially a playmaker that has game-breaking ability in free agency. You look at Joe Shane and Brian Dable. They were able to go get a guy like Stephon Diggs when they were with the Buffalo Bills, and you haven't seen a guy hit the market like that. Since those 2 have basically taken control of this team, they haven't had the ability to trade for one. So the best option is to go draft one. You're sitting there at 6. You can't get a quarterback, so try to get the best player on the board. And I believe at that point in time, it's going to be Malik Nabers. You talk about a guy that has been compared to Antonio Brown, and when you have comparisons to Antonio Brown, that definitely gets my attention, man, especially from just a physical ability standpoint. Hopefully he doesn't have the kind of personality traits that Antonio Brown has, because, that would be a complete disaster on this football team, but I don't think he does. I mean, I've seen some interviews when it comes to Malik Nabers. Seems like a smart kid. Guy can run every single route underneath the sun, create separation. The guy is just an all-around good wide receiver. Rome Odunze, another, physical wide receiver out there. The guy can do it all out there on the field. So if they selected either one of those 2, I'd definitely be fine with it, since we can't get a quarterback. A lot of people will look towards, the defensive line. We need pass rushers. We have, Kayvon Thibodeau, Azeez Ojulari. We're not too sure about his future right now. We definitely need some pass rushers on this team. So that's a position we're going to have to look to late in this draft, I believe, or try to bring in a free agent if that's possible. This team's going to have some money at their disposal, I think somewhere in between $20 to $25 million. So they can make some moves. They can definitely make some moves. And then after this season, once Daniel Jones is finally off this team, and then that report came out, right before the season ended, or shortly after the season ended, that Daniel Jones is going to be the quarterback heading into next year. Now, I was sitting there thinking, like, no shit, who the hell didn't know that? They're paying him $1 billion, just to stay on this football team and really just be a body. That's really all he is at this point. But we all know Daniel Jones is done. Every single Giants fan, just about. If you have half a brain in your head, Daniel Jones is done on this team, and he doesn't have much of a future left on this team. We gave him all the opportunity in the world. It'll be year number 6 he's going into. He hasn't caught on at this point. So we gave him every opportunity under the sun to try to make it with this football team. So even if he went somewhere else and caught on there and actually became something, it's not like we can't sit back and say we didn't try. We gave him every shot under the sun to go out there and produce. Now, maybe circumstances weren't their best, but it is what it is. That's just the way it plays out in the NFL sometimes. So I'd like to get us a wide receiver. I'd really like to get us a wide receiver. We have Wan'Dale Robinson. He's a promising young kid. Has trouble staying healthy, though. Jalen Hyatt, we don't know exactly what we have in him. He showed some signs here and there. He's kind of disappeared, as the season went on. I was pretty disappointed that he disappeared in those 2 Philadelphia Eagles games, and he got hurt, I think, in the second one. But, even the first one, that's a bad secondary, man. And you think a player with his kind of ability, his kind of speed, they really should have found ways to get him open, or he should have been able to get himself open against that secondary and at least given us some kind of production in those games. And he was just completely, just not even on the field, man. He never even heard his name at all. Barely even drew any targets. And that's a sign that he just wasn't getting open, man. That's a true sign that the man wasn't getting open. When you think about a weak secondary like that, there really shouldn't have been any issues with him getting open. So, as the season went on, they talked about how he had issues running a full route tree, and that was definitely on display for much of the year. I mean, he caught a lot of go routes and stuff like that, deep balls down the field, but the shorter stuff, trying to get separation from these corners, that's something he definitely struggled with. So we need a playmaker on his team, man. We need a playmaker on his team. Brian Dable and Joe Shane, they haven't had the opportunity to go out and get themselves a player like a Stephon Diggs, and there just hasn't been one that has been available for trade or via free agency. So when you're sitting there at 6, you can't get your much-needed quarterback. Try to take the best player on the board, and I believe at that point it's Malik Neighbors. Tight end-wise, Darren Waller, much of a question. He's a big-time question on this team. Got hurt. We traded a third-round pick for him. Had trouble staying healthy this year, much like he has the past 2 years, prior to this. So, we're gonna have to look at the tight end position to try to possibly bring somebody else in here. Also, maybe late in the draft. There's a lot of spots on this football team. That need improvement. We need pass rushers. Linebacker with Isaiah Simmons. Okereke in the middle, and then McFadden on the outside. I think our linebacker core, it's actually in some of the best shape that it's been in quite some time. It really is. And our secondary, we're probably going to lose at Dory Jackson, Darnay Holmes. We still have Deonte Banks, going into his second season. Kid played pretty damn well, man. I like everything I saw from Deonte Banks. But, you never know if that's going to actually translate into year number 2. You saw a guy like Sauce Gardner kind of slip up a little bit this year, didn't play as well as he did in his rookie season. So don't just automatically think Deonte Banks is going to be the shutdown corner going into year number 2. Hopefully he progresses and he continues to just grow on what he did this year. Now, going into our secondary, with Pinnock and Xavier McKinney, I would really like to keep those two together. Along with Belton. Man, I think that our safety position as a whole, I think it has the ability to be one of the strongest units on this team with those 3. If we could figure out a way to keep Xavier McKinney. And that's going to be a very difficult thing to do. And honest to God, I know a lot of people are big Dexter Lawrence fans on this team. I was never big on the Dexter Lawrence contract. If you've watched any of my videos, man, I talked about multiple times about how you can draft interior defensive linemen late in drafts. You can look at NFL history. You can draft these guys that are just lane cloggers, guys that can just create havoc inside, that don't necessarily get a strong pass rush, but they dominate the line of scrimmage and they don't allow teams to run the ball. They just control the run lanes and they do what they need to do. You don't need to pay big money to these interior guys unless they have supernatural ability like a guy like Aaron Donald. That's the only type of interior defensive lineman that I would ever spend money on. A guy like that. And Dexter Lawrence does not possess that kind of ability. He has a presence in there. He can get to the quarterback every once in a while. But, dude, you can get a guy that's late that might not necessarily be Dexter Lawrence, but he can be pretty damn close. As long as he can shut down the run and control that line of scrimmage, you pay the money to your pass rushers. The guys that play on the outside with their hand in the dirt and go after the quarterback. Those are the guys you put your money into. And I have stressed that for years on this channel. And then we dumped all that money into Dexter Lawrence. He's a good player, man, but I don't think he's worth what he's worth. We've seen this team, let interior guys go. Linval Joseph. What's the other? Leonard Hankins, Jonathan Hankins. Let him go. Let those two go. But we decided to keep Dexter Lawrence here. And I get that Leonard Williams. We signed Leonard Williams that 1 year. But at the time, you got to think about the Leonard Williams contract, man. At that time, when we brought him on, yes, we traded picks for him. But we didn't have any pass rushers on this team at all. We didn't have anything that resembled a pass rusher on this team. He was the only option. So I understood why they paid him then. This team with Kayvon, who you would think, even though he basically disappeared down the stretch too and only really produced against weak competition, offensive lines that were banged the hell up. That's about the only time you ever heard his name. He produced against teams like the Washington Commanders, the New York Jets, and the Seattle Seahawks. Those are the 3 teams right there where he got the majority of his sacks. So against strong competition like the Cowboys, San Francisco 49ers, he got 1 sack in that game. Philadelphia Eagles, those teams he disappeared against. When he plays against solid competition against at those offensive tackle spots, man, he struggles mightily. And that's something he's really going to have to work on in the offseason to become the pass rusher that we need on this football team. So, there's a lot of work that needs to be done on this team. And we need a quarterback. We need a quarterback. And, you know, I've talked about how 6 is no man's land. It sucks that we won those 3 games because I stressed all year long that, you know, those 3 games didn't mean shit. They didn't mean a damn thing for us. And that win against Philly, even though we beat the Philadelphia Eagles, it didn't mean a damn thing in the end. Yeah, everybody was happy for a week, and now what are we looking at? We're looking at the draft, and that wins in the rearview mirror. Ain't nobody, like when next year starts, man, ain't nobody gonna be worried about that last game of the season that we beat the Philadelphia Eagles in. That's a complete afterthought, man. Ain't nobody gonna give a damn at all. Now, I know none of us fans have any control over what happens on that field. The team is going to do what they're going to do. But to come out here and actually be happy about us being pushed down further and further in that draft, I'll never understand it. Don't make no sense to me. Everybody out here that does videos, everybody knows what this team needs to actually become a successful football team and to actually go out here and cheer for this team to just drop further and further down in that draft. And we all know we need to be in that top 3 to get ourselves a true franchise quarterback. I don't understand it. It pisses me off and I don't get it. I really don't. But, you know, people can spin this stuff, man, any way they want. They can bring up examples of quarterbacks that were taken later on in drafts that became successful in this league. At the same time, man, I could bring up examples for every quarterback that's selected late. I can bring up examples for quarterbacks that were selected later on in the first round, the second round, the third round that didn't work out. So, you know, you can spin this any damn way you want. But we all know, man, the true cream of the crop when it comes to the quarterbacks is taken within those first 5 spots. It's based on consensus. All the scouts, all the guys that analyze this game, the guys that talk about the ones that are going to be it in this league, they normally are it. Now, there are some exceptions. But most of the time when somebody says that this dude's the real deal, it normally works out that way. Now, maybe their team that they go to isn't necessarily in the best situation, but, you know, that doesn't mean that quarterback doesn't have all the ability in the world to go out there and get the job done. So, like I said, we got to figure out what we're going to do with Barkley. That's a big issue. Big issue. I don't want to see this team devote, you know, $13 to $14 million to a running back. Not at all. I've been talking about this, how this team, I didn't want them to franchise him last year. You know, I mean, I was okay with them franchising him last year. I just didn't want them to give him the contract because I don't want to pay a running back that kind of money. I wanted Deontay Foreman. I've been talking about Deontay Foreman for years. I want this team to pair a power back up with a finesse guy, a home run hitter, you know, through the draft. That's what I want them to do. You know, I don't want to give all that money to a running back and just, you know, chew up that much of our cap space, you know, going with money going to a running back. It doesn't make any sense to me. We saw it with the Cowboys, how that affects them, how it can affect the team. It's just a bad way. It's bad business, man. It's a bad way to go about doing things. So I love Saquon, man. I'd hate to see him go to another team, but at the same time, I'd kind of like to see Saquon go play some winning football. And I don't think that's going to be the case for this team for the next couple of years until we get our shit together. So the quarterback there's been a lot of talk about is J.J. McCarthy. I'll tell you what, if he falls to the second round, I'd be okay with them grabbing J.J. McCarthy. Now, he didn't throw for too many yards at Michigan, and a lot of people call him a game manager, but at the same time, with their running game, man, he didn't have to do much. But one thing you can say about J.J. McCarthy, he does have pretty good pocket presence, and he is accurate, and he's got a pretty decent arm. So if he can fall to that second pick that we have in the second round, hey, or even if he gets close to us, you know, if he falls later in that first round, you know, maybe we can trade up and get him. But it all depends on how much we have to give up. Like I said at the beginning of this video, this team is in desperate need for talent. So it's like we can't be trading up to go get a quarterback. So hopefully he could potentially fall to us in the second round. When it comes to Bo Nix, I've heard, man, could potentially go in the middle of the first round. So his stock's probably just going to go up as the draft process continues on. But, man, that's it for the video. I just wanted to come out here and spit a little bit of stuff, man, and just let you guys know I'm still alive and kicking. I'm still out here thinking about the Giants and what this team's trying to do to be a successful football team. So I hope everything goes well. Everybody's doing well out there. This video's at 14 minutes right now. I'm at work just trying to put something out there. I hope you guys have a good day. Take care. If you like the video, please like and subscribe. I know I'm not as consistent as others, but I love the New York Giants, man. I know people may have some negative things about me, but it is what it is. That's their opinion about me. I don't give a damn. I know I love this team to death, and I want to see this team succeed. So if you like my stuff, like and subscribe. And that's it. I hope you have a good day. Take care, and I'll talk to you in the next one. All right, bye.